Hey everyone, Gavin here, and today is going to be the start of a series that I've really wanted to do for quite a while. I think it's going to be a ton of fun, but essentially I'm going to be breaking down all of the songs from Sunchaser, just taking them one at a time, kind of hope on going back to revisit some of the earlier demos before they grew and progressed into what they ended up being, and maybe just talk about some of my ideas and kind of thoughts going into how things ended up being the way they are. So yeah, let's get started. So I think Rum Ham is a pretty good place to start. When I think of the first full band song on the album, progression-wise, this is what I think of. I mean, I know Azure is technically the first song on the album, but to me that's more of an interlude entrance ramp to things. But yeah, when it comes to the just full band, full-blown song, kind of in-your-face type of energy, Rum Ham is definitely what comes to mind first. And this was actually one of the earlier demos, I think, for Sunchaser. The very beginning of the material was actually in Ecology. The very first half of the third part, actually, that was the first thing that I ever wrote kind of on acoustic guitar. And this was kind of something that came as I started to practice recording like electric guitars, the drum programming, all that stuff. And let's see, this was actually the original demo for it. And I haven't listened to this in a while, and I'm kind of nervous too, because I remember I was really just trying to like figure everything out the first time. So let's actually give this a listen and see what there is. It's a different intro. Oh God. Okay, sorry. I remember this now. I remember for some reason when I recorded the guitar parts, they were kind of out of time, and I don't know why I thought a good solution would be to like nudge the drum beats along according to the guitars, so kind of have the drum play out of time with the guitars. Is an interesting choice. Oh shoot. Let's see, where were we? Man, one thing that I've kind of realized about some of my older demos is the tempo was like a bit slower than it ended up being. So listening to this, I mean, obviously the production isn't nearly what it should be, but it almost feels like a bit lethargic compared to what I'm used to now. Oh God. I'm glad that changed. Oh, there's a solo in here. Man, I completely forgot that there was originally a solo in this song. Yeah, so obviously this section got condensed quite a bit. It was a good decision. Cool. Yeah, so that was really the entirety of the first half, and that just kind of set as it was for a while, I think. It wasn't until a few months later that I actually ended up finishing it, but yeah, man. Dang. Well, yeah, that's definitely a lot different than what it ended up being. I mean, it's obviously been leaps and bounds forward compared to what it is here, but yeah, I think I've mentioned a bit before where I think I started writing this soon after I kind of discovered, or actually I was told about Carnival, their album Sound Awake. And since that has become like one of my all-time favorite albums, I don't know, I think anybody can find something to appreciate from that album, and it's just a 10 out of 10 from start to finish. But one thing that I really kind of took away from shortly after listening to it for the first time was how the guitar players would play these different parts that really complemented each other and kind of contributed to like a singular riff. I can't honestly think of a very specific instance of the album, like off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty, but that was one thing that kind of stood out to me as being super cool. And I think that's something that I was trying to go for with the first riff of the album. There's the bass intro, which ended up being a guitar intro for the final one, kind of a more full band kind of build up as opposed to like stacking the instruments. Yeah, so the right speaker, there's the guitar going on the main riff. Okay, there's the other one. Okay, yeah, here's the part. Yeah, so with the guitar pan to the left speaker, the main riff was kind of going, and then on the right speaker there was a guitar doing octave parts to kind of, I don't know, give it like a complementary part. And that actually ended up sticking for the final version, but we ended up just double tracking both of those parts. So instead of having one part left, the other part right, it was actually two of each on both speakers, and then just kind of adjusted volume-wise to where they fit together. So yeah, that was kind of the reason why that one came about. Yeah. Cool. Nice. So that was like ground zero for Rum Ham. That was how everything kind of started, and like I said, it wasn't until a little while later that the second half ended up being written. And I think I just ended up re-recording the whole thing, because I actually ended up doing that with all of the tracks for Sunchaser from the like very first drafts, just to try and like refine some ideas, make some transitions smoother. And honestly, just like going through the process again, you catch things that you really wouldn't catch just listening to it, or at least I do. So let's see, there were all of these different renditions, and then I think this guy, he's got the purple circle, so he's got to be special. I think this ended up being another kind of finished draft. I'm pretty sure the second half is on here. Okay, we got like a gritty bass tone now. Still the same structure of the intro. Yeah, so way different tones this time. I remember for this wave of demos, this ended up being like the guitar tones that I used to like present to Nolly and kind of have the final structure of the songs, and in hindsight they are just kind of horrendous. So I think with this section of the demos, yeah, I really started to incorporate these synths and like subs and rises and hits and stuff. This is kind of when I first started getting into like a contact player and Gravity, the software that I use for pretty much all the synths on the album. And you can tell the tempo finally caught up to what it is now. Okay, so here's where we left off. Yeah, so this section ended up getting condensed quite a bit. I mean, I think that was definitely the right call. And the tempo for this section is actually faster here than I think it is on the final. That feels pretty rushed to me. So I think this all pretty much stayed uniform through it. Yeah, this stayed. The kind of interaction between the guitars and the synths was a bit of a happy accident, but I was glad that that ended up happening. Cool. Yeah, so that, you know, it's definitely kind of starting to shape up into the structure of what it ended up being. Actually, a really big, tiny thing that I noticed out of that was, this was actually Mike's suggestion, was to kind of punctuate the ending with triplets. And it definitely just kind of feels like it stops out of nowhere. Like, listen to this. Instead of like, da-da-da-da, it's ba-da-ba-ba. Just feels like a bit more punctuated in the final thing, which, that was another really good call. Let's see, what's this? 211. Oh, okay. Actually, so I think this is like the final thing that I sent to Nolly. It's pretty identical, I think. Yeah, pretty much. Cool. So let's see, what's the next iteration? Here we go. So this is actually the Cubase session that I recorded that one in. So I'm pretty sure everything on the screen right now is basically what we just listened to. Surprisingly, most of the synth stuff just ended up staying. I really didn't do any kind of like post-processing with these at all. Like for instance, we can listen to some of the like kind of sludgier, as you can see, sludge in the sludgier bits for the second half. That is super hairy. Let's see, these are the stems for Rum Ham, just like for reference. Yeah, so they definitely had a bit of work done, I think. Wow, yeah. That's hairy. So let's see, I think the next iteration was actually when we started to record the guitars and the bass. And let's see, I have the guitar tracking bounce here. This is just like a super rough mix, like still programmed drums. We literally just took the MIDI files that I'd programmed. I sent them over to Nolly's computer and then just ran through his sounds basically. So it sounds quite a lot better, but the parts are exactly the same. And it was basically just giving us a template to re-record the guitars and the bass with. So we can take a listen to that one real quick. And I think this kind of ended up being close to the final version of what it was. Structure-wise, that is. Sorry, sometimes the internet messes with things. Man. So here's where that section kind of got condensed. Definitely flows a lot better this way. Man, the first thing that jumps out to me just about this is how much of an insane difference Mike's parts made on the just listenability and like liveliness of the songs. Because the actual guitar and bass recordings, they're exactly the same in this bounce as they are on the final thing. And I think the impulse response that we used ended up changing from here to the final thing just slightly. But other than that, I mean, it's just such a huge difference between like the sterility of this and the like liveliness of the final thing. And I honestly think Mike had such a huge role in that, because nice. Yeah, there's such a big difference to me. This part especially, it feels like the drums are just at like 100% entirely. There's no like ebb and flow or breathability in the part at all. Yeah, wow. Crazy. Yeah, it's just so much more like almost like building blocks that are pieced together instead of like a whole song. So yeah, let's actually find the mastered, like the final version to listen to just for reference. Man, the side snare, oh my gosh. This to me was like one of the best unexpected surprises gear-wise of the session. Like, it really wasn't on my mind, and I don't know if it was actually Mike or Nolly's idea to have a side snare, which I'm not sure the size exactly, but just a smaller snare drum, kind of for accent purposes. And like, you can hear it on the intro there. It's the that one. It's kind of a small thing, but just what it does when it's used right is so cool to me. I'm so happy that that ended up being a part of it, because like that alone is pretty cool. Yeah, so there's the regular snail now. Yeah. It's a good place to jump in. Yeah, so man, I think that Nolly and I think Nolly was like the first one to say it, but I think we were all feeling it, where it's just like once Mike's parts got recorded, it started to finally feel like a finished product. Because I mean, the difference between the guitar and bass tracking bounce and having Mike's parts in it is just like almost a different song to me. I mean, it just glues and flows so much better. But yeah, so those are really kind of the main iterations of things. This wasn't particularly a song where I would like jam it out on my guitar for a while. It was definitely kind of taking it a step at a time in terms of the writing process. But yeah, you can see it's, you know, changed quite a bit. There are definitely some other songs on the album that had some more dramatic structural changes at parts, but yeah, it definitely was a pretty big growing process for this one. But I'm really happy with where it ended up. Here's some of the stems for reference. Like the rhythm guitar tone ended up just getting a different IR, I think. And let's see. Cool. So there aren't really too many guitar effects going on in there. We ended up using like a Pog octaver pedal for a lot of the parts, kind of some of the heavier stuff. I don't think it was in the last riff there. If it was going to be somewhere around here. Oh wait, maybe it is. I don't think so. But anyway, yeah, that song is pretty straightforward with the guitar tones, but they sound awesome. Here's some of the bass. And of course the drums. Yeah. Man, I love Mike's drumming so much. Honestly, like when it comes to just listening to his stems and stuff, I could pretty easily just go through the album just listening to his parts. Uh, let's see, there are some overdub guitars. Let's see what's going on over here. Yeah, so you can hear we're able to keep some of that, like one guitar in one speaker, another in the other. It ended up just being kind of the root note in the right speaker. You can hear just playing along. Yeah, so here's that octave part that just got kind of layered with the rest of it. There it is again. Cool, there's a cool layer part. That delay is actually a cool trick that, oh. Nice. Yeah, this part, I think that was Nala's suggestion. That's cool. Yeah, this delay part was actually something that Nali kind of suggested using too. I was really unfamiliar with putting a delay like in front of the guitar amplifier. And effect-wise, that's such a cool thing to do because what ends up happening is when the pedal starts repeating whatever you're sending to it, those delay repeats also get distorted by your guitar amp. So you just end up with this really cool, like, textured, I don't even know what to call it. Just it has its own sound and it's really cool for that kind of thing. Yeah, nice. So that's pretty much the breakdown of, there may be a few other synths. I think for the most part, the actual sounds of the synths were pretty uniform for the song. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there we go. That Strong is definitely one of the more straightforward, kind of consumable songs of the album. And to be honest, that was kind of an intention, was just to have one of the first, or well, actually the first, like full band song on the album, just be something that you could get into, not really have to ask a lot of questions, and just kind of wrap your head around things pretty quickly. And this one is still just like such a ton of fun to play. It's pretty easy to like groove into, I think. But yeah, that's kind of the stages of how things ended up being what they are. Honestly, I think aside from the like carnival guitar parts kind of complementing each other in different ways, aside from that idea, it was mainly just kind of an intuitive writing process. There wasn't really a ton, let's see, do I want to say this? Yeah, sure. There wasn't really a ton of like technical stuff that happened. It was really just kind of finding whatever felt most natural to lead into, especially kind of after that second, or that like intermission in the middle, so to speak, of that like synth break. Just ended up taking some time off writing wise, and when I came back, really just kind of finding what fit well. And yeah, I think in comparison to this, or this guy, yeah, it's just not even the same song. So yeah, that's a little bit behind Rum Ham, and if it's a song that you're into or want to hear a bit more of, you can hear it off my album Sunchaser, and we actually have a playthrough of the song out right now. So you can see that, kind of see how some of the parts look on the guitar. But yeah, if you found any of the stuff interesting or kind of cool to see, some of the parts leading up to whatever ended up happening, then definitely let me know your thoughts. If there's anything you want to see in maybe one of the future songs, I'm definitely planning on doing these for all of the songs on Sunchaser. So yeah, if there's anything you want covered or kind of techie info, like thought info, definitely just let me know. And I'll definitely get back about this stuff and also include it in whatever's coming up next. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.